Hey everyone, I say very Rachel Zegler style. I actually had a different video coming out that I recorded yesterday that was supposed to come out today about Snow White, talking about how Disney completely gave up on the marketing. But then a lot of news came out this morning about what is going on with the movie. The first actual solid pre sales are available. This is not just speculation about what the box office will be, as had been coming out before. This is actual solid numbers. And it looks really bad. Per the Flat Lannister on Box Office Theory, previews for Snow White, no way around it, this is bad. It's about a seventh of Mufasa. Don't see 50 million opening weekend, not even a 40 million opening weekend with this. So it looks to be a little bit more what I expected, that the movie is probably going to release in the $30 million range. And what this tells you, and some people were trying to gloss this over and say that it probably won't get that bad at box office, just comparing it to other Disney remakes. But what this tells you is that all of the controversy over this movie on the internet was not just internet exclusive, that people in real life had no interest in this film whatsoever, and that Disney is very, very aware of the controversy around this movie, and that they are going to be heavily affected by it, and they already have been, because there was yet another report that came out this morning that says they are not even going to allow press on the red carpet premiere of this movie. They're still going to have a red carpet premiere on the 15th, so that's coming up really soon, but they're not going to allow the regular press junkets to come on to interview the actors and stuff. As says Variety, Disney is hosting a Hollywood premiere of Snow White on March 15th, but the red carpet will not include the dozens of media outlets usually invited by Disney to interview the cast and creatives at its premiere. Instead, coverage will be limited to photographers and a house crew. The studio did not comment for this story, but the scaled back plans come amid controversy surrounding the Mark Webb directed film, which hits theaters March 21st. So Disney is not allowing any more press coverage for this movie. And I noticed, as I'm going to talk about in a minute in this video that I recorded yesterday, that they have actually kind of kept Rachel Zegler bound and gagged over this film, which I'll go over in a second. There's been mostly pre-recorded interviews with her, pre-planned ones. I think that Disney got the message of this film loud and clear. I think that they did not want any more loud controversies around this movie, but it is going to affect them a lot. The fact that this was such a controversial movie, the fact that the box office is going to be so low, you can see potential changes that they're really going to try to overcompensate for stuff like the controversy about her scoffing true love. Now, it looks like at the end of the film, spoilers if anyone cares, Snow White might get married to the prince or whoever it is in this movie. So it's going to be interesting to finally watch this film and see what the damage control actually was. But once again, Disney, this is DOA to them. They know it's dead. They know it's been dead by all these controversies. And I want to say, I've seen people say that it is not Rachel Zegler's fault for any of this, but as someone who at one point tried to walk it back and defend her a little bit, I'd say no, it is absolutely her fault with this, because there was the initial controversy that I covered, and then I felt bad and I wanted to walk back and just say, okay, go easy on her. We can let this go. But she kept putting her foot in it over and over again and getting more people against her. And that's why I think that she does deserve a lot of the blame. This truly was a moment when people just said enough from Disney, and I think that this movie is going to mark the era of Disney, the end of the era of Disney that we have been living through. But right now, I'm going to go over to the video that I recorded yesterday and talk to you about how Disney really gave up on the marketing of this movie up to this point, and how they're trying to hide it, and how they just want to get this movie over with so they don't have to deal with it anymore. And so without further delay, let's go over to that. Anyone remember this movie, the Snow White movie, the one with Rachel Zegler that we would not stop hearing about for months and months on end? It was supposed to come out like a year ago at this point, and then it got delayed and massive reshoots after the controversy around it, and we just would not stop hearing about the Snow White movie. It was so controversial for reasons that I talked about in other videos, seen as sort of the pinnacle of everything wrong with modern day filmmaking and Disney. But it comes out now in just 11 days as of the recording of this video. It will be 10 days soon. And you don't really hear much about it anymore. I haven't heard much talk about it online, haven't heard much talk about it in general. It's like the fanfare to this movie, even though it comes out in just a little over a week, has gone completely silent. And they only just now, just like 10 days before, put out ticket sales for it. Tickets on sale for it. And that's a little odd because they usually do it much further in advance. I thought, and I'm guessing it's because they don't expect there to be a lot of ticket sales for it. So they're just hoping to get it as close as possible so that the negativity that will be spread, no doubt, over the lack of ticket sales, which I guess we'll see what they are, is not spread. But Disney just seemed to kind of give up on the Snow White movie. I mean, do a little comparison here. After their second trailer finally released online, which they delayed, they actually released an international trailer on the same day that Superman released. And then they released another little spot for it on Christmas Day. So that stuff was kind of hidden in the background, and it made it so not a lot of people talked about it. Rachel Zegler, I imagine, has been bound and gagged from saying anything that would possibly upset people. She did a little interview where she just said that the fans were upset because they were passionate, and that is completely different from what she said in her previous article that came out in October, where she said that everyone who was making fun of her words was intentionally misunderstanding her, intentionally hearing her wrong so that they could make up a whole story. So it doesn't really work anymore to do that kind of damage control because people have already seen Rachel Zegler go back and forth twice now. It does not come off as genuine at all. So that kind of is a dying hill. And so I think that is part of the reason why Disney has just thrown up their hands and given up with this film. When Halle Bailey's Little Mermaid came out, there was a lot of talk about the importance of that film and the importance of her getting cast in that role and what that meant. But there's none of that. None of the marketing around the Snow White movie has been about how this is a mixed race, or I believe she is mixed race, actress coming out and playing Snow White. That was originally going to be a big selling point for the movie, and you can see they even have a Latino narrator for this movie and everything. It's all very tied up with that. I mean, the finished product of the movie appears to be. But then there's absolutely no marketing around the movie that makes it out to be that way. All of the marketing of the movie, what little there has all been very, very focused on the original cartoon, I noticed. I think it's all very knee-jerk on the part of Disney, and I also think they're kind of misunderstanding. They realize, people don't want the original disrespected. I mean, no, but ultimately the reason why Rachel Zegler's words were controversial was not because of disrespecting the original cartoon, but because people thought that they were ridiculous, because no one has ever really agreed in this, fairy tales give bad messages of true love at first sight and all that. No one's really agreed with that. It was always a fringe group that Disney, unfortunately, really took to heart and started making a bunch of movies, starting with Enchanted, going on to Frozen, and to now rejecting the notion of true love at first sight, and later just rejecting characters having love interests as their main goal, and all of that. And you can see that with the movie and what we've gotten from it, that there's still all those changes in place, that now the Wishing Well song has become Waiting on a Wish, and it's much more of a song of empowerment than the original one was. So all those changes are in place. I don't think they could ever change it completely, but I do think that Disney has a very knee-jerk reaction here in what they assume were people's problems with the film, and they assume that it was about disrespecting the original. And well, I guess that was part of it. I mean, the original is always going to be there for people to enjoy. It was really that people just don't agree with these changes. They think that they're silly, and so really, they've made knee-jerk reaction. They made it really, really about honoring the original and what they think that's what people want. And they've really changed the look of Rachel Zegler as well to look more like the original than what was being marketed on the first posters and the first trailers. But overall, though, I think that they've given up on this movie because there's still not a lot of fanfare or marketing for it. And I noticed that they're keeping Rachel Zegler and Gal Gadot separate so far, because apparently Rachel Zegler, people have kind of inferred, doesn't like Gal Gadot. There seems to be some animosity, but from her end, people noticed that whenever she and Gal are together, there seems to be a little bit of an odd resentment coming off of Ziegler. They got that from her walk and the way her demeanor was at the Oscars. So that's like literally another thing. It's yet another PR nightmare that Disney has to deal with, and that they have to deal with it. I don't think Rachel Ziegler is ever going to be hired by them again. But it's interesting just how Disney has given up with this film and is like, it's not gonna go over well. This is the most volatile film in existence. And the interesting thing about it is I'm wondering, is the film really gonna be that bad at the end of the day? When it's all finally said and done and when it's out there, is it just gonna be a mid-film like Mufasa? Maybe it's even good. Well, maybe it won't be good, but it's only an hour and 49 minutes long, but right now it's my most anticipated movie of this year, because just the controversy around it and the constant fanfare, I mean not fanfare, the constant controversy around it, and just how much this of all movies, Snow White, was the moment when people said that they've had enough of what Disney is and they've had enough of this modern direction. And I think that this is going to be a big turning point for Disney and how they go forward with their films in the future. It's curious to see what kind of knee-jerk reaction they're going to have next. Are they going to start producing some sort of princess film that's heavy on romance next time because of the complaints? Because these studios tend to be very, very reactionary. But I guess that is the ultimate fate in of the Snow White movie. It's going to go out quietly, I think. Well, I'll have a lot to say about it when I finally get to see it in theaters, but I just find all of it very interesting how Disney kind of lost this round, and that they just could not win with this movie. But I do think that what is definitely going to be a disaster from it is Gal Gadot's performance. Yes, everything I have seen from the clips has been absolutely ridiculous. It has been cringeworthy, and I think it'll be very entertaining to watch in the theater. But that's all I got for you guys today. Are you looking forward to the Snow White movie? Let me know in the comments below. As always, you can check out my Patreon if you want to support my work, and I will see you guys next time.